and I would still be happy.
That's you, but with all due respect, you're 35 years old. Your options in the sexual marketplace aren't like they were 10 years ago. So you might have to concede to that. But a younger woman at her prime is not taking 50-50. Let's keep it 1,000. They're not. They want a guy who's a leader in all aspects. Women typically have to lower their standards as they get older. You have children now. You're 35 years old.
I've always wanted to work. Always. I worked
that's
all
fantastic.
through my pregnancies.
But being a mother
and
is not a 50-50 proposition.
100%.
Why not? Why don't you love my child like I love my child?
Here's why. Because if you look at a lot of women who go to work,
Your semen made it.
hang on, whoa. If a woman's going to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week with young children, what do they leave them alone in the house, or they have to take them to daycare?
An au pair.
They got to take them to an au pair. You think? Okay, there we
Well,
go.
once a child turns 5 or 6, the kid's at school, right? That's usually when the parents start working again.
No, but I'm talking early child. I'm talking about like from 0 to 4. Exactly. Wait. But that's the point I'm making. It's daycare. Being a mother's a full-time job, and that proves it. Because if a woman's working, she's got to take the kids to daycare, so someone else could be the mother.
No, but I mean, usually it's like school. So usually you don't start daycare until like 3, maybe, and then you're in school at 5.
But those first 3 months are the most important
3 months.
Yeah,
you're usually with your child the first 3 months. You're not in work the first 3 months.
But I work from home.
Early.
I'm talking about like 3 years old.
You know, it's amazing how everyone starts. It's a touchy subject because women don't like to think about this. Children want their mothers to be around. It's essential in the first 3 months. It is critical after that. And yeah, children go to school and everything, but if a man and woman are married and if they're having sex the right way, which is without birth control and contraceptives, you're supposed to have multiple kids. And so if you've got multiple kids coming out all the time, some of them are going to have to be in daycare. Some of them are not going to be taken to school. And the thing is about school isn't as long as work. Because I remember my mother, when me and my sister were born, she quit her job. We had to downsize her house. She could stay home and raise me and my sister. And I remember even when I was going to kindergarten or first grade, you know, we got off of school at 3 o'clock. And the kids that their mom was working, they had to go to daycare, after school daycare. Couldn't see their mom until 5. And it's almost like the kid is working a full-time job because they get dropped off at school at 7, picked up at 5. They do their homework. They were really only with their parents for like 4 hours of the day before they have to go to bed and start all over again. And that's a child's life. What is a more important job for a mother to have than to be there for her children at their youngest age? That's where I'm coming from. That's why it's a full-time job. I'm not saying don't love your kid. I'm just saying it's a full-time job.
Well, you just said like a lot of children actually really like extended care and after hours of school because it's a time to play with other kids.
That's crazy.
Not everybody. I know it's crazy to you. I don't know if you like crazy weird. That's not crazy weird. The idea of like I want to go right home to my house and I want to sit in my house and stare at my fucking mom all day. Most kids when they're 5, 6, 7 actually do like playing after school with kids. Sometimes some of the most fun you have. Yeah, maybe you didn't have any friends in school, but for the rest of us that did, it's actually nice to be able to play with them after class. Yeah.
Well, you don't play
disagree.
any sports, right? Because like I asked you, you don't play.
No, I'm 24 years old. I don't play sports.
No, I did ask you last night, and you said no.
I played sports when I was a kid.
What sports?
Volleyball, t-ball.
Okay, and you did this when?
I don't know. Weekends.
Probably after school.
Not every day. I mean, but what's your argument? Is your argument that daycare doesn't have to raise the kids for part or most of the time if a woman's working?
Okay, so
because that's true, right? You concede this.
I see what you're saying, and
but you do concede that premise.
No, not fully.
Okay, so a woman can have a full-time job and be a full-time mother.
Yes.
But the kid is being raised in the daycare for the time that the mother's not there. So they're acting as a surrogate mother, right?
I hear what you're saying, that the mom will absolutely get less time. That's 100%.
Just say you don't understand it because you have a woman's brain. How can you
You fucking dumbass. I have offered you an IQ test a million fucking times and you will not take it.
And you offered head a million times. I don't want it.
Piece of shit.
I don't want the head either. But
I like how the facade drops. I like how when she gets frustrated, the facade of the nice girl.
Explain to me.
The nice little girl.
She said,
and then she gets mad and then I told you to take a fucking IQ test, you fucking asshole.
I have offered him an IQ test like a million times. He will not take it.
I don't like culture pussy. But check this out. How can you do a full-time motherhood if 7 hours are going to some fucking daycare file? What are you trying to say? You're saying 7 hours is going to a daycare. You're still full-time? Why are you stupid?
I'm saying that the mom will obviously have. I just didn't say I didn't.
We're saying full
understand the point at all.
time. Listen with your fucking peanut brain. Full time. You know what full time means?
My mother was a full-time mom and a full-time she works as an attorney. She had a full-time job. And she was home every day and she cooked me dinner but I still had to go to.
So how can that be full time if she has a full-time job? Like Zherka said, why are you stupid?
Soccer practice. I still had to do a lot of things after school.
So she wasn't full time.
She was full time.
No, she wasn't. Your mom failed you. That's why you're on this podcast.
What do you guys think 5, 6, 7-year-old kids do after school? I want to hear that. I'm so fucking curious right now.
But that's play
video games? Watch TV?
What about the men who can't?
So what's the difference between playing outside with other kids and going to daycare?
Hang on. That's a total diversion for what we're talking about.
It's literally not. We're literally talking about after school extended care or daycare.
Because here's the fundamental point, which I keep trying to make, but for whatever reason, it's just like flying over everybody's head. If the mother is working, this is time away from her being a mother. It's less hours with the child. And you can say, wait, hang on. And you can say, oh, well, so what? You can say that. So what? The kid is playing fucking soccer or whatever. Yeah. You can say that. But those are hours that a mother literally cannot be there for the kid because they're at work.
Sure. So you're saying when a kid is 5, 6, 7 years old, it's more important for the kid to go home and be with his mom than to play with other kids after school?
Yes. I think it's essential for the mother to be there for the kids all day.
I'm gonna keep let me ask that one more time. Wait.
I want to hear that one more time. So for 5 years and older, you think it's more important for that kid to go home and be with his mom than it is for them to play with other kids after school?
I think it's less important 5 years and up, but if you're talking about K through 5 or 0 to 5 years old, what woman could
No one is talking 0 to 5.
That is what I talked about.
So then you should very easily answer my question and say, no, Destiny, when they hit 5, when they're going to school, it's probably better for them to play with kids after school than go with their mom.
What I said initially is that from 0 to 5, these are critical years. I said the first 3 months are essential, 0 to 5 is critical, and a woman can't take 5 years off of a full-time job to be there for a kid. So a daycare worker or somebody is going to have to step in. And this is what I'm talking about, priorities.
You still haven't answered my question. It's so simple.
You don't answer my stupid question. You don't answer my stupid logical fallacy diversion.
It's not a logical question. It's such a simple question.
I'm constructing an argument.
Maybe I can ask the women if you don't understand.
I'm constructing an argument. Why would I ask someone that's inferior intelligence to me a question?
Inferior intelligence?
Let me jump in, okay?
25-year-old virgin.
Let me jump in. 24-year-old virgin. That's what God calls us to do. You're a 34-year-old cuck.
You're only virgin because anal sex. You're only a virgin because getting fucked in the ass doesn't count to you for losing virginity.
You're talking about hooking up with guys on Grindr yesterday with Sneako.
What was the question again?
The question is, if a kid is 5 years and older, they're going to school, whenever they start kindergarten, first grade, is it better for them right after school to go home and be with mom or to play with other kids for an hour or two at like extended care?
But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about...
answer the question?
But this is what you do. You ask a stupid... And then he throws
his head up in the air. Yeah, you can keep pointing it up.
I'm incapable of having an adult conversation.
You know that the question defeats your entire fucking worldview. It's like based on nothing.
You
were a kid that went to school with no fucking friends. You're a virgin. We've all seen the pictures, Nick. Like, there's a reason why you can't engage with the question. Sorry,
The personal attacks don't work.
The part after you screamed at me, cuck over and over again.
That's what you are.
You gotta remember that she asked. He's formulating his argument based off from 0 to 5, and then he'll answer your question after.
Well, no, but I'm rejecting the.
So I remember, as soon as you finish, you want to go home, you want to stay with your family, and it's weird that these people say, well, do you want to go with your mom or play with your friends? Bro, you just saw your friends for 8 hours straight, and you already played with them. What are you talking about? And yeah, sport is important, but it's like 2 times a week. You don't go every day. And we can clearly see these people were raised, I believe, with single parents, or their mom was not available when they needed her. Because, you know, they trying to justify spend less time with your kid. Like, what the fuck? You should be always available to your child. These people are weird, man.
Because the questions don't exist and then he has to interrupt whenever I try to attempt to make my argument.
Go ahead.
I'm rejecting the premise because the question is not what's better for kids, hanging out with their friends or being with their mom. The premise is this. And then he's on the phone, dismissive. He's looking at chat for rebuttals. I love that. He's always looking at chat for the rebuttals.
It's always the rambling with you. You're like a shitty preacher.
It's not rambling.
I was going to
when
say
somebody
mine is
is
a child abuse,
constructing an
but you probably
argument.
won't.
Let him finish his point. Let him finish his point.
This is why your own community said you lost the debate on Fridays because you resort to these cheap tactics, false dichotomies. You check your
Nick,
chat.
you love me so much. You're posting pictures on your Telegram of me.
Yeah, because you were cramming for another debate. You were cramming for another debate, literally in the lobby.
24-year-old virgin on a Redpill podcast.
I wish I was 3 feet tall, blue hair, and a wife that fucks other guys. I know. Every guy's dream. Right. Anyway, so I reject the premise.
Yeah.
I reject the premise because it's not a question of this is what you do. You always steer to a stupid question. The question is, if a woman is working a full-time job, it's not whether it's better for the kid to be with the mom or with the kids. The mom's not an option. Mom's off the fucking table because she's at work. So if the kid's sick, if the kid gets injured, if there's something that's going on, if she's got to take them somewhere, oh, sorry, honey, I'm working that day. Sorry, honey, I'm scheduled to come in that day. It's off the table. That's what I'm getting at. And she doesn't like it because it makes her uncomfortable.
No,
because it's
I'll tell you why, because you steered away
Absolutely.
from my answer. My answer was about working mums. Some women have to work. There's not many.
I know that.
There is not many families that can afford to buy a house in Australia without 2 incomes. So if you can't earn enough, then the woman steps in. Or at the end of the day, we don't all get given jobs that make millions. The world won't work. The world's not going to revolve like that. The reality is. So you steered away from that, and then you made fun of women that have to give their kids up.
I didn't make fun.
Well, you kind of said it was wrong.
I think it's wrong. I didn't make fun of it.
But what about if we have to do that?
And let me answer that. Let me answer that directly. You're telling me something that's not unfamiliar to me, okay? Both my mom and my father lost their fathers at a very early age before they turned 10 years old. So both my father and mother were raised by single moms. Both were widows. And so I understand out of necessity, sometimes a single mother has to be there. And I love both my grandmothers. They're very tough. They're very smart.
But those kids are less because they're not with their mum all the time.
No, of course. I'm saying my parents are less. Of course, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you're less. Sometimes it's out of necessity. But we're not talking about necessity. We're not talking about circumstance. We're saying what is right. We're saying what should be encouraged. It's not diverted. Some women have to do that. I also think, by the way, that, I don't want to get into your personal life, but some situations, the husband dies. That's not most situations for single mothers, if we're being totally honest. Most single mothers, it's not because the husband dies tragically at a young age in an unforeseen circumstance. It's elective. And so it's really about what decisions are people making. And I think it's a better decision. I think it is ideal for the mother to choose full-time motherhood. I think it's better for the kids. I think the mother prefers that. I think it's probably, I mean, I'm not a girl, but if I were a girl, I would much rather be at home hanging out with the kids than I would going to, driving on my commute and clocking in and typing up a spreadsheet or, whatever it is. That's all I'm saying.
And then you were saying before, like, why should a man, why should a man not, a man should be able to come in and raise another man's children. I disagree with that. I think, and that was going back to my point before where you were saying like, well, I'm 35, I have 2 kids, etc., and I'm willing to go ahead and go 50-50 with a man. That's how this whole conversation started. I'm saying, with all due respect, you have to concede to that now because you don't have the same command over the dating marketplace that you had 15 years ago when you were 20 years old. I hate to say it, but as a woman ages, as she makes more money and she has children, her ability to get a higher quality mate goes down a bit. So
I do all right,
you have to accept the fact that I am willing to go 50-50 with a man. But if I took you 15 years ago, you might have had a different thought when you were at your peak.
I've always wanted to work.
That's fine, but
I've always wanted to do
that's not the same as going 50-50.
Yeah.
And this is something.
I was married and I went 50-50. So I've always wanted to, and I'm happy that.
So you were with a man and you went 50-50 with him. Where is that man now?
Well, he was.
There you go.
Okay, listen.
You can't. We don't miss.
Yeah.
Who initiated the divorce? You did.
No, it was definitely mutually.
There's no such thing as mutual.
We met very young.
One party has to file the divorce.
Apart.
One party must file the divorce. Who initiated the divorce?
Well, we left it for such a long time that it's like in the end it was like
Who initiated the divorce?
I left my husband.
You did.
There you go.
There you go.
I mean, you can't even compare. Like, traditional values that come from the Bible are always going to be the best choice. I know it's really hard now to provide for a family, but the thing is, you have to do it because it's just the right way, Guys, let me know in the comments what you think. Christ is King and God bless you.